side of the mountain at a high rate of speed, the people are in pieces and your skin is inside out. I mean, they can be devastating.
One such case occurred in August 1995. While Dr. G was working at the Bexar County Morgue in San Antonio, Texas.
We have a 49-year-old Hispanic male from rural West Texas, and he was flying an airplane and nobody knows what happened. It crashed and burnt, and that's about as far as we know.
It's just before 4 p.m. on Thursday afternoon when someone reports a grass fire to the Upton County Fire Department.
So the volunteer fire department goes out there and one
charred body. They quickly ID him as 49-year-old Richard Garcia, and he immediately gets searching the area for clues.
Nobody witnessed this plane go down.
Following standard operating procedure, the fire department turns the investigation over to the NTSB, or the National Transportation Safety Board. Investigator Hector Casanova is assigned to the case, and his first order of business is to gather more information about this recreational pilot.
The pilot was very experienced. I think he had 14,000, 15,000 hours of total flight time, so he was extremely familiar.
But for some unknown reason, he hits the ground.
Now it's up to the NTSB to find out exactly why the plane went down.
They're looking, is it something to do with the person? Is it something to do with the machine, meaning your airplane? Or is it something to do with the environment, the weather?
And as the NTSB prepares to conduct a full inspection of the aircraft, Richard's body is transferred to the Bexar County Morgue, where Dr. G will perform a complete autopsy.
My job is the pilot, that person aspect of the investigation. The NTSB, they want us to give them information about the pilot that may help them piece together what happened in that cockpit prior to hitting the ground. Maybe something human has something to do with the accident. But isn't that the way with everything? How often is it the car that malfunctions causing the accident? It's usually the person. Okay, so.
As a first step, Dr. G calls through the investigator's report, looking for anything that could shed light on Richard's accident.
We know he's married, we know he's 49 years old, Hispanic fellow, but we don't have direct contact with the family. So we don't know anything about his medical history, his social history. We don't know anything about him.
Yet this information, there's one thing that he does know. By law, all pilots must undergo routine physical exams.
You can be a private pilot, you can be a commercial pilot. Each of them have different medical requirements. If you're a private pilot, you can be good for 1 year.
This means that Richard was given a clean bill of health sometime within the past year. That said, Dr. G still can't rule out the possibility of a natural death.
Just because pilots have to have physicals doesn't mean there's not some silent killer going on in your body. When we see that every day in the morgue, they've gone to the doctor, they've given a clean bill of health, and then they die.
With this in mind, Dr. G will be on the lookout for any signs of natural disease.
I'm worried about a stroke or maybe a heart attack. Severe pain, and that's the plane.
Dr. G must also take into
We need to know if he's under the influence of drugs or alcohol, and if that could have affected his decision making.
With a number of theories
natural disease that could have contributed? Was he impaired in some way with drugs or alcohol? So all of those will be that person component. Okay. Let's see. Yeah, let's go for it. A general appearance is that he is intact. That's he is clearly
undamaged fingers and sends them off to be analyzed. And it doesn't take long to confirm that this is indeed the body of 49-year-old Richard Garcia. Dr. G begins with the overwhelming task of documenting Richard's injuries.
He's clearly got trauma. You can see broken extremities that aren't quite in the right place. His legs and arms aren't going in the right direction. Oh gosh, where's this arm broken? His upper arms are fractured, his forearms are fractured. He's got upper leg fractures, the femurs, lower leg fractures, fractures by the knees, fractured by the ankles. His face has got trauma, a lot of lacerations. His nose is actually kind of torn off. So a lot of fractures and dislocation to the bones of the extremities. All right.
It's a sobering laundry list of injuries, and one that suggests even more extensive trauma on the inside.
If you've broken every single long bone in your body, chances are there's something wrong with your internal organs too.
But despite the myriad of burns and fractures, it's still anyone's guess what actually killed the 49-year-old pilot. And more importantly, why his plane went down in the first place.
So we'll see. You know, we don't know until we open them up. This is going to be a mess.
You may be eligible for a Medicare Advantage plan if you are turning 65, have limited income, or you're moving. See how a WellCare Medicare Advantage plan could get you some big benefits, including this all-in-one WellCare Spendables debit card to use for over-the-counter health items. Find out how easy it is to get all of your original Medicare coverage plus extra benefits. You could have medical coverage, coverage for prescription drugs, dental, vision, and hearing, and the WellCare Spendables debit card to make getting the coverage you need more convenient. The WellCare Spendables debit card can be used for over-the-counter health items. And here's more good news. You can get a WellCare Medicare Advantage plan with a $0 or low monthly plan premium. How can WellCare offer all of those benefits for a $0 or low monthly plan premium? It's simple. Medicare Advantage and Medicare Part D prescription drug coverage are important parts of Medicare. WellCare has a contract with Medicare to offer and provide these important options to you. Call right now to get your free copy of the WellCare All-in-One Guide. Call 844-975-0005 now. There is absolutely no obligation for requesting this free information. WellCare offers benefits that go beyond the basics, and we make them easy to use so you can support your best health. Call a licensed sales agent to see if you are eligible to enroll today and get your free copy of the All-in-One Guide with absolutely no obligation. Your free guide will provide information to make a smart choice for your healthcare coverage. Just call 844-975-0005. Remember, there's no obligation for requesting this free information, so call 844-975-0005. Call today.
Hello, welcome to T-Town. Like men over 40 everywhere. These guys experience a drop in testosterone. Don't worry, it happens to all of us. Some guys took my advice about how to boost their testosterone, and some didn't. This guy got the message loud and clear.
That's right, Nugenix Total T.
Nugenix Total T is the unique man-boosting formula powered by Tesnor, a key ingredient clinically researched to help increase testosterone levels. to help you feel stronger, leaner, with more muscle and drive. Nugenix is #1 doctor recommended, #1 at GNC, and #1 at Walmart. But you can only get your complimentary bottle by texting direct to 369-369.
Thanks. It'll make you feel like a new man. And by the way, she'll like it too.
Get your complimentary bottle of Nugenix now. Text direct to 369-369. Text now and we'll include a bottle of Nugenix Thermo X, our most powerful fat incinerator ever, absolutely free.
I've lost 96 pounds with Weight Watchers Clinic. Knowing that I'm never doing it alone has been key. I have a clinician I can bounce questions off of, health coordinator, dietitian, all in one central place. That doesn't get any better.
At DriveTime.com, we've been hard at work, and we finally did it.
Did you make it so I can finally shop at thousands of cars with no hit to my credit?
Wait, yes! Go to DriveTime.com, get approved with no credit hit. Go to DriveTime.com, get approved, and shop your real terms with no credit hit.
The remains of 49-year-old Richard Garcia have just been pulled from the burning wreckage of a small-engine plane. Now, Dr. G is faced with the daunting task of looking inside the charred and battered body.
It's not pretty when you hit the ground at a high rate of speed. So I don't know exactly what I'm going to find. Well, even though in some areas the skin is almost completely burnt off, you'll still do your Y incision. I then start looking for trauma. And he had a lot of trauma. All of his ribs were fractured in the front, all of them were fractured on the side, and all of them were fractured in the back.
As a first step, Dr. G carefully clears the pieces of broken ribs from Richard's chest cavity. Then she surveys the organs in situ.
His lungs have so many lacerations from the edges of the ribs sticking into them. His pericardial sac is torn open. His heart is multiply lacerated, big tears to the muscle of the heart.
But while Richard's heart is severely damaged, Dr. G is still able to collect vital blood for toxicology tests.
I certainly will take blood for toxicology.
She sends the samples off to the lab for a rush analysis, then turns her attention to Richard's abdominal cavity.
His diaphragm has large tears. That's his diaphragm. And his internal organs were just in disarray. That's not good.
The diaphragm is a thin sheet of muscle that stretches across the bottom of the rib cage and separates the organs in the chest cavity from those in the abdominal cavity. But Richard's torn diaphragm acts as an open door, allowing his abdominal organs to enter his chest cavity.
His spleen is no longer in his abdomen because it went through the tear in his left pleural cavity, and that's in multiple pieces. That's a lot of trauma. Part of his bowels are in his left pleural cavity, where his lungs should sit. His abdomen has multiply torn liver. His aorta is torn. His back is in two pieces, and one's on top of the other. That's not good. His pelvis, believe it or not, doesn't have any fractures. That was intact. His bowels are contused.
But despite this damage, Dr. G is still able to spot a subtle clue.
Oh, he's got some problems here. He had a lot of blood in the soft tissue, a lot of hemorrhage associated with those fractures, a lot of hemorrhage in the bowels. What it tells me is that his heart was beating and he was alive when he hit the ground.
This is a critical finding. It confirms that Richard's death stemmed from injuries sustained in the crash itself. But it still doesn't explain why the seasoned pilot drove his plane into the ground at over 270 miles per hour.
We've got some answers from the autopsy, but we don't have all the answers. He clearly died from his injuries, but I don't know if he's incapacitated or using drugs and alcohol. And we're worried about natural disease.
With that in mind, Dr. G turns her attention to an organ high on her list of suspects. Using an oscillating saw, Dr. G's morgue technician cuts through the skull to expose the brain.
When we do the head exam, we find he's clearly got some devastating trauma, which would have been enough to kill him in and of itself. But not as much trauma, honestly, as the rest of his body.
She removes the organ and carefully dissects the brain tissue, searching for any abnormalities. But she comes up empty-handed.
No natural disease in his brain either. No strokes, no infarcts, nothing that I could find that would have incapacitated me.
With the brain ruled out, Dr. G's next stop is Richard's badly damaged heart.
Although it's multiply torn, we can still look at his heart for natural disease.
Carefully, she dissects the organ, slicing through the tissue and into the coronary arteries.
The heart muscle looked good. It wasn't enlarged. Coronary arteries were fine. Everything looked normal. So he clearly didn't have a heart attack.
But the search for natural disease is far from over. Dr. G's next stop is Richard's lungs.
When I open his windpipe, his trachea, his bronchi, there's no evidence of soot. He was not breathing in any smoke. So he's burnt on the outside, but that happened after he hit the ground. There was no evidence that he was exposed to smoke or soot prior to the crash. The fire clearly was post-crash.
She slices through the lung tissue, and it isn't long before something catches her attention.
Although I couldn't put my finger on it, the lungs didn't look quite right to me. They were very dry. Parts of the lungs looked a little overinflated.
Not exactly sure what this could mean, Dr. G takes samples of the tissue so she can get a closer look.
I needed to look under the microscope.
Then, just as she's wrapping up the internal autopsy, Dr. G receives crucial new information from the NTSB's investigator.
There appeared to be nothing wrong with the plane, and they really don't have an explanation for the accident yet. So at that point, they're ruling out mechanical failure. They're ruling out weather. What's left is the person aspect of this equation. So at the end of the autopsy, we knew he died from blunt trauma. He had no natural disease. And at this point, I don't see any incapacitating problems he could have had.
Now the investigation is hinging on one thing: Dr. G's lab results.
I still have my toxicology to go, and I still want to look at that lung tissue under the microscope. At this point, the only thing they have left is anything I can find.
Well, child, I get to decide when I get paid. My pay lets me get up to $500 of my pay when I need it. There's no interest, no credit checks, no mandatory fees. And that's why I Chime. Join me at chime.com and get paid when you say.
At Consumer Cellular, we pride ourselves on giving you fast, reliable, nationwide coverage at up to half the cost of the leading carriers. But don't worry, we've got more than that going for us. Like this beautiful store in Arizona, for example. It's the perfect place for me to tell you a little bit more about our phones and how they can become your phones. You name it, we probably got it. We have the top smartphones from all the major companies. If it's state-of-the-art cameras you want, we got them. If you want a smartphone with lots of bells and whistles but won't break the bank, we've got that too. We even have a flip phone, like the Iris Flip. We even have watches. I know what you're thinking. What if I don't have one of these amazing stores in my town yet? Can I get these phones sent to me?
Yes, you can.
Is it easy?
Easy as pie.
New customers save $50 when you sign up today. Call 800-918-5494. Find us in Target or visit consumercellular.com to switch today.
She knows what she's talking about. Pick up the phone.
Hi, Grandma. I played baseball today.
Oh, that's great.
What position did you play?
First base.
That's what Grandpa used to play.
When our hearing wouldn't allow us to use a regular phone, it made us feel isolated.
It became difficult to communicate with our friends and family.
Clear Captions was an easy solution for us.
Clear Captions provides captions on a phone like captioning on your TV, so you can see what the caller is saying live as they say it,
making it easy to understand and respond immediately.
There is no insurance or Medicare required. Clear Captions service is provided at no cost to you through a federally funded program. We deliver, install, and train you on how to use your phone, all at no cost to you.
Give your loved ones the independence and connection they deserve.
Call now to see if you qualify to get a Clear Captions phone at no cost to you. Call 1-800-921-4979. That's 1-800-921-4979.
Precise designs, subtle curves, curated upgrades, elevated design for thoughtful living. Thuma.
Coming up next on True Crime Network.
It's been 3 long weeks since the autopsy of 49-year-old Richard Garcia, who died in a small-engine plane crash. So far, the NTSB's investigation has ruled out weather and mechanical failure as the cause of the accident. And Dr. G's autopsy has yet to uncover why Richard's plane would have taken a sudden nosedive into an open field.
I found nothing that would have incapacitated him prior to the accident. Did drugs or alcohol incapacitate him? I don't know, but the tox may answer those questions for us. When we get the toxicology report, I was a little surprised. He has a little bit of alcohol. He had about a 0.06 grams per deciliter. So he clearly probably had a beer at lunch. I don't know if you can drive a plane with a 0.06, but I don't think I'd want my pilot with any alcohol.
But Richard's alcohol level isn't high enough to convince Dr. G that it's to blame for the crash. And as she continues to scan the report, she spots something else that raises a red flag.
He had a little bit of diphenhydramine on board. That's the kind of antihistamine that's, kind of puts people to sleep. It would take a boatload of diphenhydramine to incapacitate you, but it can make you sleepy at high enough levels. But his level really wasn't that high. I don't know why he took it, but maybe he was having seasonal allergies. Maybe he was having some type of allergic feeling.
Although the level is low, it's possible that this, along with the alcohol, made for a deadly combination.
He had a beer and he was taking some diphenhydramine. Probably 2 things that pilot shouldn't be doing.
But for Dr. G, the pieces of this puzzle aren't quite fitting together. And there's only one tool left in her arsenal, the microscopics.
We still need to look at that lung tissue.
Dr. G places the slide of Richard's lungs under the microscope and adjusts the dial to bring the image into focus.
When I look at the lung tissue under the microscope, I was really surprised. Let's look at that again. It really all points to one thing.
And in an instant, Dr. G knows exactly what caused the plane crash that killed Richard Garcia.
That microscope doesn't lie.
It's Thursday afternoon, and pilot Richard Garcia is about to indulge in his favorite pastime. But before he takes to the skies, he grabs a quick lunch.
I think he probably had a beer at lunch. After eating lunch, I don't know if he was having problems with a dry cough or what he thought were seasonal allergies, but he takes a diphenhydramine, an antihistamine.
Richard then boards his small-engine plane and prepares for takeoff.
Gets in that plane, probably with some mild symptomatology of a dry cough, maybe some what he thought was seasonal allergies. While he's flying at 500 feet, he probably starts to get shortness of breath.
But Richard isn't only suffering from seasonal allergies. Instead, microscopic results confirm he's in the midst of an asthma attack.
He was clearly having acute asthma at the time of the incident. The airways in his lungs were plugged with mucus, the characteristic that we see with asthma. Asthma is a reactive airway disease of the small vessels. It contracts the airways, and mucus starts coming out of the lining of the airway, and it blocks those airways. As those airways start contracting, he's having difficulty breathing. He can't get oxygen to his blood, and he's feeling like he's short of breath.
As Richard gasps for air, he focuses all of his attention on his next breath. And it isn't long before his plane begins to careen toward the ground.
He hits that ground so hard that it breaks every long bone in his body. It tears his diaphragm, it tears his heart, fractures all his ribs. A fire ensues, and he gets partially burnt before they can put out the fire.
With this, Dr. G closes the case on Richard Garcia and reports her findings to the National Transportation Safety Board.
I don't think he died from asthma, but if you get distracted with shortness of breath from an asthma attack, it's not a stretch of the imagination that that was a contributing factor, if not the cause for that accident. So the blunt trauma is the cause of death, but really the initiating problem was the asthma.
This information allows the NTSB to complete their investigation and rule the pilot at fault.
The cause of the accident was the pilot's failure to maintain clearance with terrain.
Then, Dr. G reaches out to local authorities to deliver the information to the family.
I give the information to the Justice of the Peace, and they relay that to the family. I would think that their reaction would be surprise, considering that most likely nobody knew he had asthma, but maybe it helps them at least understand it wasn't a failure in decision or a failure in something he necessarily did. I just don't think he knew he had it. And clearly this may have been one of his worst attacks. A lot of people think that asthma is just for children, but a lot of adults get asthma, and a lot of them don't have it diagnosed because they mistake their symptomatology of asthma for something else. It just goes to show that, oftentimes the autopsy may not show anything important. Sometimes it plays a small piece of the puzzle, but sometimes it's key.
And in Dr. G's next case, the autopsy proves to be the missing link in a homicide investigation.
The detective was very worried that this woman was murdered. Now it's my responsibility to truly prove why she died.
Are you over the age of 50 and considering buying an annuity in the next 60 days? I have some important news for you. Don't buy an annuity until you understand the pros and cons of annuities. Call now for this free book on maximizing your income in retirement. Annuity Do's and Don'ts for Baby Boomers from one of the nation's leading financial firms. That's right, free. This book reveals little-known truths about annuities in simple-to-understand terms. Grab a pen right now, because we're about to offer you this free book that unlocks the 5 little-known truths we believe baby boomers and seniors should know before buying an annuity, and it's free. Call 800-256-7497. As a bonus, we'll also throw in a free annuity rate report. We researched numerous products and summarized rates and benefits of annuities, all from Silac Insurance Company. Call 800-256-7497. That's 800-256-7497. Call now.
Hello, welcome to T-Town. Like men over 40 everywhere. These guys experience a drop in testosterone. Don't worry, it happens to all of us. Some guys took my advice about how to boost their testosterone, and some didn't. This guy got the message loud and clear.
That's right, Eugenics Total T.
Nugenix Total T is the unique man-boosting formula powered by Tesnor, a key ingredient clinically researched to help increase testosterone levels. To help you feel stronger, leaner, with more muscle and drive. Nugenix is #1 doctor recommended, #1 at GNC, and #1 at Walmart. But you can only get your complimentary bottle by texting direct to 369-369.
Thanks. It'll make you feel like a new man. And by the way, she'll like it too.
Get your complimentary bottle of Nugenix now. Text direct to 369-369. Text now and we'll include a bottle of Nugenix Thermo X, our most powerful fat incinerator ever, absolutely free.
Meet EarthBreeze, a revolutionary laundry detergent that magically dissolves in any wash. There's no wasteful plastic jug, and it's water-free because you already have water. The future of laundry detergent has arrived. Learn more at earthbreeze.com.
Stay tuned to get this 5-piece ultra non-stick bakeware set free from Granite Stone. Are you tired of pots that burn, lids that don't fit, and pans that stick? You know you need a new set, but the prices are so high it makes you sick. Well, get ready for a kitchen full of the most durable ultra non-stick cookware at the most affordable price anywhere. Introducing Granite Stone Blue, the fast, easy way to cook gourmet family meals every day. Each piece of Granite Stone cookware is pressed from a solid aluminum disc for even heat conduction and coated 3 times with our durable ultra non-stick Granite Stone Blue finish. Granite Stone Blue is oven rated up to 500 degrees for outstanding roasting and come with vented tempered glass lids to prevent boil over. Plus, all Granite Stone cookware is 100% dishwasher and metal utensil safe. Look, you'd expect to pay up to $500 for a professional quality cookware set. But during this special TV introduction, you can get the Granite Stone Blue 12-piece set, not for $500, $400, or even $300, but for the factory direct price of just 5 easy payments of $49.95. And for everyone who orders today, we're going to drop 1 payment. You get it all for just 4 easy payments of $49.95. Granite Stone cookware is so durable, it comes with a 10-year warranty. As a bonus, we'll include our self-draining fry basket, stainless steel steamer insert, and the steamer rack, a $50 value, absolutely free. And there's even more. As a special gift, you'll get our 5-piece Granite Stone Blue bakeware set, the fast, easy, ultra non-stick way to bake up your favorite desserts. No grease or oil needed. Together, they're a $110 value. Yours free. That's an incredible 20-piece Granite Stone Blue set, all for just 4 easy payments of $49.95. Plus, we'll ship your entire order free. Order now.
To order, call 1-800-537-6303. That's 1-800-537-6303, or order online at granitestoneblue.com.
Sunny skies and world-class attractions. Together, they draw more than 30 million visitors a year to Orlando, Florida. But inside the District 9 morgue, Dr. G is witness to the darker side of this lively city.
Even though it's a wonderful city, there's a lot more violence in Orlando than you would think. There's stabbings and shootings and things going on that I see on a daily basis. Overall, about 10% of our cases are homicides, but actually, everybody that comes through our office is a potential homicide until proven otherwise.
Just don't throw anything away yet until we figure out what that is.
It's a muggy Sunday evening in Orlando, and Ben Dalal has just returned home after a weekend away with friends.
He gets home about 5 o'clock in the evening. He finds that the kitchen door is unlocked. And as soon as he walks in, he sees there's trouble.
Ben's girlfriend, Rosie Muller, is lying face down and motionless on the floor.
He's obviously startled. He calls the police, who come and pronounce her dead.
And as police examine the scene, a gruesome scenario begins to emerge.
There's some blood pooled around her face. And she's got kind of a black eye. This could be foul play.
Although Ben seems genuinely shaken, police can't help but wonder if he may have played a role in Rosie's death.
The detective is very worried that this woman was murdered. Keep in mind, 30% of women that are murdered by an intimate partner, by their boyfriend, by their husband, by their ex-husbands. The boyfriend is clearly upset, but is it an act or is it not? Did he have something to do with her or did he not? The police are very suspicious of him.
But there's one problem. Without physical evidence linking Ben to Rosie's death, police have their hands tied.
They left a law enforcement officer at the scene to guard the crime scene until my determination at autopsy. So I do want to make sure that I get this case done as quick as I can, so I can either tell them it is a homicide or tell them it isn't a homicide.
Rosie's body arrives at the District 9 morgue, And as a first step, Dr. G reads through the investigator's report.
We have a 44-year-old African-American woman that the police are suspicious might be a homicide.
But Dr. G knows better than to jump to conclusions.
Just because the police thinks it's a homicide doesn't mean I have to think it's a homicide. There's a lot of possibilities. It could be an accident. She could have collapsed from natural disease. We don't know.
And right away, she spots a few details in Rosie's medical records that raise a red flag.
She's not just overweight, she's obese. And there's a lot of problems with obesity. You certainly have more heart disease. It's certainly going to predispose you to high blood pressure. She smokes. There's no good reason in the world to smoke. And it's going to affect your heart. It's going to affect your lungs. And she drinks heavily. She could have been drinking and fell very suddenly and hit her head.
She also wonders if Rosie may have indulged in another dangerous habit, one often associated with sudden death.
You know, she already smokes, she drinks, her boyfriend's out partying and drinking. Who knows what else she's doing? It could even be drugs. It could be a homicide, it could be an accident, it could be natural. I'm keeping all of my options open.
Did you see that nice shiner she's got?
So when I start my external, the detective is there with me, giving me more information and just waiting for me to tell him what I found. It's really actually very important that when I'm doing a suspicious death, that the detective who's investigating or one of his partners is there at the autopsy.
But you guys have to give me information.
Oh, well, that too.
Dr. G's first order of business is to try to piece together the chain of events leading up to Rosie's death.
She's already starting to get some very early decompositional changes. She's been there over 24 hours. So we at least know whatever happened was closer to the Saturday morning. The boyfriend leaves Saturday morning, comes back Sunday night.
Given the timeline, it's possible that Ben killed Rosie before he left on his trip.
So we certainly haven't ruled out the boyfriend.
Next, Dr. G inspects Rosie's skin inch by inch, searching for forensic evidence.
I'll look very carefully for any kind of trace on her body itself, hairs, fibers, anything strange. But I didn't find any trace evidence.
She also checks for needle marks on the arms and legs that could tell her if drugs somehow played a role.
We don't see any evidence of drug use, but I may not see that if she does it orally, or she sniffs it, or she smokes it. So I can't rule out drugs.
Then Dr. G turns her full attention to Rosie's bloody head.
Oh gosh, she's a mess. Her face is still matted in blood, so I can't really see what's going on.
Morgue technician Brian Mahalski is assigned the gruesome task of cleaning her head. Slowly, the veil of blood over Rosie's face falls away, and what lies underneath takes Dr. G by surprise.
There is no laceration or tearing of the skin. I don't see where this blood is coming from.
But while Dr. G can't pinpoint the source of the blood, she does spot another clue.
She's got a lot of ecchymosis. That's blood which has gone into the delicate tissues of the upper and lower eyelid. Maybe she fell, maybe it's a blow to the eye, or maybe it's due to the fact that she's just face down and she's starting to decompose. At this point, I can't really tell you why she died. It could very well be a homicide.
Why has America accepted the wait for payday? Introducing My Pay from Chime. Get up to $500 of your pay before payday. No interest, no credit check, no mandatory fees. Get paid when you say. With My Pay, get started at chime.com.
Summer's burning heat is here.
for many animals, help can't come fast enough.
These animals are suffering from rays of sun that they can't escape. They don't have access to any shelter or shade. They're licking the bottom of bowls that have been dry for days. These animals are dying from heat.
For many animals across the country right now, the suffering is excruciating and time is running out.
There are animals wasting away under the hot sun, no access to shelter, no access to fresh water. They are suffering.
Will you help an animal who's suffering in the burning sun right now? Visit this website, call or scan the code on your screen. Your gift of just $19 a month can be the difference between life and death for an animal this summer.
There are situations in which an animal will lay down and they will give up, because that honestly is their better escape from this reality.
And that's why we can't give up, and why we need you right this minute, before it's too late. 63 cents a day will provide shelter, water, and loving care to an animal who may not survive much longer. Say yes to pulling an animal out of the burning heat today. Join with your monthly gift in the next 5 minutes, and we'll send you this welcome kit and one-of-a-kind t-shirt.
We know it's our responsibility to give them that shelter as soon as possible, to get them that water, to give them that chance to survive.
So please don't wait another second. Help rescue an animal today. Go online, call, or scan right now.
This is an urgent notice about ovarian cancer. If you or a loved one were recently diagnosed with ovarian cancer after using Johnson & Johnson baby powder products, you may be entitled to a large cash settlement. Plaintiffs' attorneys claim Johnson & Johnson knew their products could cause ovarian cancer, but kept the product on the shelf until 2020. Call Legal Injury Advocates now to see if you qualify.
Call 1-800-453-1133 or visit lia.legal. That's 1-800-453-1133.